Have you ever found yourself checking your phone for a notification that absolutely wasn't there? Or, opening an app just to close it a split second later? Well, if that sounds familiar, you're definitely in the right place. Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're covering Thibaut Meurisse's absolutely game-changing concept of the dopamine detox, and we'll look at exactly how we can go about reclaiming our lost attention. So if you've been feeling, scattered, unfocused, or just completely overwhelmed by the constant digital noise, we're going to unpack the mechanics of why our brains are acting this way, and far more importantly, how to actually fix it using a very specific, structured approach. Think about it for a second. Have you inadvertently trained your brain to crave constant stimulation? Just imagine if your brain was fundamentally designed from the ground up to enjoy the really simple things, like taking a quiet walk, reading a physical book, or just, being present in the moment. But instead, through our modern daily habits, you've trained it to demand this endless, nonstop stream of high-level stimulation. It's a fascinating paradox, really. We're essentially operating hardware that was designed for a slow-paced world, but we're feeding it the software of immediate, 24/7 gratification. Which brings us to Section 1, the fake dopamine trap. Okay, so we really need to understand this concept of dopamine overload. This basically happens when the brain is completely overwhelmed by constant stimulation from endless scrolling, gaming, and those nonstop digital notifications. Think about what a typical day looks like for us. Every single time you scroll endlessly through a feed, every time you get a quick, flashy win in a video game, every time your phone lights up, you are hitting your brain with a spike of dopamine. It is literal, non-stop action. Your brain is becoming completely overwhelmed by this digital barrage. It's this heavy, continuous load that our natural reward systems simply weren't built to process all at once. Moving right along to Section 2, when life feels boring. And this dynamic right here creates a very real and honestly, a very painful divide in our daily lives. So on one side, you have the heavy hitters, right? Social media and gaming, these deliver massive, totally effortless spikes of dopamine. But because your brain gets so used to that, on the flip side, totally normal activities, like sitting down to do your actual work or trying to read a book, they suddenly feel unbearably slow, like tedious. Focusing becomes incredibly difficult. Now, the crazy thing is, you haven't actually lost your ability to focus. You've just artificially raised your brain's threshold for what it considers interesting. It's like when you're used to riding a digital roller coaster all day, just taking a walk in the park feels like you're standing completely still. Let's get into the solution in Section 3, the one-day detox. So according to Meurisse, the remedy for all of this is a dopamine detox that lasts for just one single day. Yep, a literal number one. That is it. We are not talking about some massive month-long retreat into the mountains here, or, permanently tossing your smartphone into the ocean. No way. We're talking about a highly acute 24-hour intervention just to hit the reset button on your brain's reward system. Now, to actually make this one-day reset work, you've got to be strict. You have to totally eliminate these fast dopamine triggers for the full 24 hours. That means zero social media. It means absolutely no junk food, because believe it or not, that artificially spikes those exact same reward pathways. And it means no binge watching your favorite shows. For one single day, you are completely cutting off the supply of that artificial, easy dopamine that's been keeping your brain trapped in that overloaded state. Now you might be wondering, what on earth do I do instead? Well, you aren't just going to sit in an empty room staring at a blank wall. Actually, scratch that. I mean, you could, but there are way better ways to spend this detox. Instead, you're going to replace those high stimulation habits with slow, intentional activities. Spend time reading a physical book, go outside for a walk, do some journaling, or literally just simply sit with your own thoughts for a bit. These are the kinds of activities that finally allow your brain to take a deep breath. They don't hijack your attention, they actually nurture it. You are intentionally choosing low stimulation inputs so your dopamine receptors can finally cool down and recalibrate. Let's look at the payoff in Section 4, enjoying real life again. Through this surprisingly short detox, you undergo this incredibly effective process. It's like a domino effect. Step 1, your brain resets. By taking away those extreme highs of digital stimulation, your baseline dopamine levels drop right back down to normal. Step 2, because your baseline is normal again, your focus naturally improves, and it improves dramatically. You can actually sit down with a complex task without your brain absolutely screaming at you for a quick distraction. And finally, Step 3, everyday tasks become enjoyable again. When you aren't constantly flooded with extreme, fake dopamine, the simple, everyday act of finishing a work project or organizing your desk or reading a couple chapters of a book, it actually feels rewarding again. You finally genuinely get your natural motivation back. It really all boils down to this one simple, totally undeniable truth from the source material. The less fake dopamine you consume, the more you'll enjoy real life. It absolutely takes deliberate action for sure, but you have the power to break this cycle. So I want to leave you with this thought. Are you willing to trade just one single day of fake dopamine to get your actual real life back?